What's happening, guys? Welcome to our first ever live stream. So we're going to be testing this out and seeing how it goes. Now, again, as per usual, by all means, if you've got any questions or want to chat about anything, just hit me up in the comments below. We can have a chat. If you've got any errors you want to discuss or anything that you want to go through, again, hit us up in the chat. I can see a bunch of people having a chat already. Oliver, let us know what your error is. I'm more than happy to take a look. So in this live stream, what we're going to try to do is try to replicate our sign language detection model. So we want to try to do what we did in the, I guess, obviously the main video, but we're going to do it live. So, and ideally, I'm hoping we get some errors so we can take a look at how to solve these as we're actually going through. Okay. Without further ado, let's kick this thing off and let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. So again, we're going to be focused on Jupyter Notebooks, and we're going to be using or relying on the core real-time object detection tutorial that we already used previously. So everything that you see in this particular tutorial is very much going to follow what we did in the actual live video. So maybe we'll give it a little bit of a sec. We'll wait for everyone to flow in. I did kick things off pretty quickly. What's happening, Gustavo? How you doing, Raj? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're going to enjoy this. Give it a couple more minutes and we'll see. So 12:01. We'll kick off at 12:02. What do you say? What? An internship in Silicon Valley? That is sick. Awesome work, man. That is nuts. Hey, how you doing, Joek? Sorry, I've got my chat over here. Normally I'm presenting at the same place as my chat. A little bit weird. What's happening, Miles? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, definitely. We're going to test out this live stream, see how it goes. I'm thinking it'd be useful to have like a way that I can chat to you as well, but I don't know. We'll wait and see how that all turns out. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for a quick chat. I think it's going to be useful. Like even if we're just talking generic data science, how to do stuff, I think that'd be useful. Mick Jagger, what's happening, man? I remember we were talking a while ago. Awesome that you got it up. That's sick. Tisharaz, I think that's how we pronounce it. How you doing? What did you end up using it for, by the way, Mick? Curious. All right, what's the time? 12:02. Awesome, Pubudu. That is awesome. I think you're using Mask RCNN as well. So you were using something a little bit more advanced. I think I'm going to do an image segmentation tutorial sometime soon. Again, just got back from holidays trying to get back into the swing of things and start building up some stuff. Okay, with just the ASL alphabet, but with a glove. What? Oh, okay. So you just had the hand in the, I guess, in the camera that way. Oh, that's pretty cool. We explain how to work more within an industry environment. I guess on that question, Raj, were you more, I get Raj's question was, do a video where you explain how to work more in an actual industry workplace. Do you mean like how I do this from like a production grade staging, or like how I'd actually, something along the lines of what questions to ask in team and how to navigate coding? Oh, okay. All right. So how to sort of, I guess, set yourself up for success in that way as a new coder or a new data scientist, new to, I guess, stepping into the industry. Is that sort of where you were going with that? I guess that might be an interesting video. So how do we actually get started with development? How do we actually get started as a data scientist? Drew different colors and shapes with the glove for a high. Okay, interesting. I don't know. I'm going to try to do, I'm sort of balancing object detection and reinforcement learning work at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot more reinforcement learning videos that I'm putting out at the moment, but I've got, fret not, I've got a bunch more object detection tutorials coming. I think I've currently got 30 lined up. Alrighty, on that note, let's kick, so of this. Let's see. Are we back, guys? Can you see me now? Hit me up in the chat if you can see my screen at the moment. I'm hoping we're back. Okay, that looks like we're back. All right. Whew. Yeah, no idea what happened there. Literally, the computer just died. Like, there you go. At least we're testing out our first live stream and seeing how it rolls. All right, while we're up, but let's see how long we can keep the computer up and running. Let's kick things off. So, again, so what I was saying, we're going to kick this off and try to recreate the sign language detection model. So let me switch back to my screen. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone this repo. So again, I'm just going to open up a command prompt. I've got a folder in my D drive. I believe it's called live stream. So let's take a look at that. Live stream. So nothing in there at the moment. Actually, I wanted to share these files with you as well, because if you're having errors, what I realized is that a lot of the errors that people are getting, and I'll probably put this up on GitHub and share it once this live stream is done. But basically, a lot of the errors that I'm seeing people encounter are pretty repeatable, and I'm eventually going to sort of compile a big error list. So if you get errors, you can just run through, see what's happening, and then go through that. Alrighty, so we're going to close that. Let's go on ahead and clone this repo. So I'll just copy this folder. So this is the real-time object detection repo that we've got up here, not the sign language one. So what I actually noticed is that if you're using the pre-built sign language one, the LabelImg package in there does have a couple of errors. So if you try to recreate it, it kind of screws up sometimes. So we're just going to go from this real-time object detection tutorial and clone that. So I'm going to go into live stream and clone it. So git clone. Paste that in there. All right, so now if we open up that folder, so we've got our real-time object detection stuff in there. So you can see we've got all our TensorFlow folders, generate TF record, our workspace, some images. No, it doesn't look like we've got images in there. We've got, we need to download our pre-trained models, and that might be there. Okay, so let's kick things off. So we're going to open up a new Jupyter terminal now. And let's do this. So we're going to go into our D drive, hit Jupyter Notebook. Cool, that's Jupyter open up over here. All right. And again, I'm going to try to do this as live as possible. So I haven't actually gone and prepared anything before this. I want to see how this looks like when I'm sort of in your seat and trying to do this for the first time. Mind you, I do have the object detection libraries installed. So if you are having troubles with that, by all means, go through the installation video. I'll log it back in and you guys can take, or I'll link it back in the description below and you guys can take a look. So we're going to open this up. Open up tutorial. And again, this is pretty much the same tutorial that we worked with last time. So again, no real crazy stuff in here, or no real crazy stuff that we're going to need to change either. Now, the one thing that we do need, however, is the image collection code. So I'm going to create a new Jupyter notebook, and we're just going to copy this down from, I believe I had it in the sign language repo. So let's open that up. Might be this one. Yep. So in here, so there's a Jupyter notebook called image collection that we wrote in a, I think it was the face mask detection tutorial. So let's copy this code. So it looks like no issues there. We'll call this image collection. So this first section is really just importing our dependencies, and then we're setting up our images path. And this images path is really, you can name it whatever you want, but really this is pointing to, let me show you. So if we go into, so TensorFlow, workspace, images, and then from here, we just need to create a folder called collected images. Because I think a key thing that people are sort of getting errors with is if you don't have the folder named, when you try to actually write the image out to that particular folder, it's going to cause errors. It's all going to block up. You're not going to, you'll see your webcam activate, but you won't actually have images written out to that file path. So you need to have collected images. And double check a billion times that the name is the same. So I'll just paste it in there. That looks all good. Okay, all right, then we're going to copy the labels that we want to collect. I don't know if we'll do 5. What do you guys reckon? How many labels should we do? 5, less? Put 5 in there for now. And then we're going to copy this code here, which is our core code that we're going to need to actually capture our images, but we won't run that just yet. And then I think that's all we need from there. Okay, so we've got let's take a look. So let's quickly step through this code again. I want to document it a little bit better. So this first section here is importing our dependencies. So we're importing OpenCV, which is import CV2. 5 sounds solid. All right, yeah, cool, we'll do 5. All right, so OpenCV, import UUID. So UUID is going to give us what's that going to give us? It's going to give us a unique identifier that we're going to use to actually name our images. We're then going to import operating system, and we're also going to import time. So where we're using OpenCV is down here. We're using it to connect to our webcam. So if you're doing this in a system that doesn't have access to a webcam, it's probably not going to work because you're not going to be able to access your webcam if you don't have a webcam. So you need to have a webcam. Key point, need to have a webcam. So UUID is being used down here, and this is really just the naming of the images. So by having a unique identifier, it means that you're going to be able to write these out. There's not going to be any issues. You're not going to double up and have conflict when you actually try to write those images. OS just gives us some directory sort of structures, and then time is basically, we're only using it for one line. And this allows us to sleep between each image that we're actually collecting. So rather than like powering through and trying to collect all the images at once, we're actually taking a 2-second break between each one and allowing us to move position. So ideally, when we're going through our different labels, we need hello, thanks, I love you, and then I think it's yes and no, something along those lines. So what is the ASL sign for yes? So yes is like this, and no is the 2 fingers. All right, cool. So let's just make sure we've got all this good. So we've got our images, we've got that. Okay, so this is going to throw an error. So this is actually really good. So as of right now, if I don't change any code, this is actually going to throw an error. And this is because this particular line right now is connecting to our video capture device 0. Now, video capture device 0 is already taken up by the live stream. So if I actually run this, I'm actually going to get an error. So let's try running that and see what happens. Hopefully the live stream doesn't crash again, but we'll see. So it'll take a while, and if all things holding equal, oh, so it is connecting. Oh, no, it's connected to the second one. So it's renumbered the devices. So now it's actually working okay. So this is actually connecting to my second device. So let's pause this for a sec. Okay, so that looked like it was fine. And that was fine because, so what actually happens is, so maybe it's going to be the other one that fails out. So if I try, I want this to error, guys, just so you can sort of see it. Who knows, maybe they'll both work. Okay, there we go. So that one's failed out. So what's actually happened there is because the camera is already being utilized, you're seeing that it's going, oh, image empty, unable to write it out. Now, this is because we're trying to connect to a camera which is already being utilized. So if you sort of get this, what you can do is either make sure, one, that your webcam is available to use. Otherwise, what you can actually do is connect to a different webcam, restart your kernel. So what I normally like to do is I'll type in cap.release, add in another line, release, and then cv2.destroy all windows. Sounds brutal. So that's going to release our webcam, and it should allow us to go on ahead and start capturing images again. So in this case, that's all fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this back to 0. So in this case, 0 is the appropriate device, and we'll start collecting our different images. So I'm obviously behind the green screen, so we'll see what performance looks like in this particular case, but we'll give it a crack nonetheless. So I'm going to jump back in and just delete this folder so we don't get that error. Actually, let's take a look at that error. So you can see here that it says a subdirectory of file of TensorFlow workspace images, collected images, hello already exists. That's just a warning. So it's not actually an error. So you can actually keep powering through that. It's basically saying that the folder already exists. We can't recreate it. No issues. You can run with that. So what we're now going to do is actually go ahead and collect our images. So let's run this. So in this case, we're going to go through hello. So hello, thanks, I love you, yes, no. So let's do it. Let's wait for our little pop-up. So you can see our folder's created, that hello folder on the right-hand side. Should pop up in a second. There we go. All right, let's get in position. So hello. That's a little bit laggy. Yep, cool. So got a bunch of images for hello. Keep moving around. So ideally you want to get images in a bunch of different positions. So this is going to give you a better chance of actually getting some good quality images. And you don't need to hesitate. If you've got bad images, just delete them out and take new ones. So in this case, we're switching to thanks now. So we're collecting images for thanks. So it looks like we're moving. It's looking good. Let's try to get the mic out of the way. Keep moving around. That's looking good. And so if you wanted to, you could sort of get rid of that break between the image capture, but I just think it makes life a little bit easier. Then we're going to label images for I love you. How are we doing for time? 12:09. Okay. Okay, so we've got I love you. Put up a little higher. Collecting images for yes now. So you can see the yes folder is now popping up here. So you can sort of estimate that we're now up to that particular image capture. And again, whilst we're doing it for sign language, this sort of same structure can be used for a bunch of different tutorials. I saw like an awesome demo video on LinkedIn the other day of someone that had used the code to actually detect which way waves are breaking. And I thought it was like absolutely awesome. Like that's such a cool use case. So now we're switching to no. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of lag. It's still okay. We'll just make it obvious that our hand's there. We'll go a little bit higher as per usual. And again, we're just collecting images though. Nothing like crazy here. Should almost be done. Okay, I think we're done. So if we take a look in our no folder, we should have, what's that, 10 images. Okay, cool, we're good, we're done. Also, another pro tip. So if you've got this frame here, so remember how I was saying that you can run cap.release and cv2.destroy all windows. This will release your camera and it'll actually close out this frame. So if I run that, cap.release, cv2.destroy all windows, it nicely closes out the frame. So rather than having to like crash the kernel and sort of destroy it, that's just an easier way to close it down. Okay, so in that case now, if we go into our collected images folder, which is remember where it's going to be written out. So if you're getting errors where it's not, your images aren't being written out, please check it 100 times that you've actually got this full folder defined. So TensorFlow, which is this, workspace, images, collected images, and then from there, it's actually going to start generating images. So I think people might be potentially skipping the collected images folder, which is why stuff isn't being written out. But as soon as you add that, it should all be good. Okay, any questions on that? Or like, again, hit me up in the chat. Is there anything that you guys are sort of struggling with on that? Oliver, I'd love to answer your question, but you got to tell me what you need. If there's any, like the model, like we can actually share the model checkpoints if you'd like to take a look at those as well. Also need to investigate when the computer crashed originally. That's hilarious. Not hilarious. As always, things tend to break. Okay, so what have we done now? So we've now gone and collected our images. We now need a label. Okay, so labeling. So again, people tend to get a couple or get stuck with the labeling. And I think this is because the LabelImg package can be a little bit finicky to work with. So in this case, we're going to do it from scratch to make our lives a little bit easier. So if we go to GitHub, and I think we're just searching for LabelImg, we can grab that, which is this. So this is the LabelImg package. All right, we've got questions. Let me copy my line. Data Pro 007, what's happening? Welcome. No augmentation necessary. For this case, I don't think we need too much augmentation. It tends to work okay. And you can actually have augmentation pipelines inside of your config. So I think if we open up config, pre-trained models. So this was Pubadu's question. So let me open that up. Yeah, so you've got data augmentation here, right? So it's actually built into the config. That's a really good question though. Is this live chat going to be uploaded? I think the live chat gets uploaded. I don't know. First time around, we'll give it a crack. Alrighty, so that's the, wait, what are we doing? So we're doing LabelImg. Okay, so what we're going to do now is the steps to install this are actually in here, right? So if you need to install this on a Linux machine, you need Spoonfeed. You're perfectly fine, Data Pro. I know you're a gun. You'll work this out. But again, if you got any questions, by all means, guys, hit me up in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer this live, or if you want to drop me a line in the comments. But also hit up the Discord server because we're chatting on there all the time as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to install LabelImg. So what we first need to do is clone this. So we're going to open up a new command prompt and we're going to go back into our live stream folder. And then we're going to go into real-time object detection. So in there, we've got our, so we're right now currently in here. So we're in Tensorflow image collection tutorial. So we've got these three files. What we want to do is let's go into the TensorFlow folder and we'll clone it into there. So we're now effectively in here. And what we're going to do is type in git clone, paste this link, boom. This might take a little while to download, or to clone, but you should be good. So let's wait while that clones. Any more questions? What are you guys thinking? Discord, I need to plug it here real quick so I can join. Let me get a link. Let's find the link. So we go to YouTube. We're going to have to try to find it now. Discord. Nope. Here we go. Here's a link. I'll shoot it there. Okay, so we're good with that. All right, so how's LabelImg coming along? So it looks like it's still downloading, but we should get there. Also, let me know what you guys think of the live stream format. First time trying it out. I do a lot of presentations, so I think this is probably easier than actually editing a video, but I'm still happy to do the regular videos. I think I will keep doing that for a while. Okay, so that is LabelImg now cloned. So if we go into our folder now, you can see that we've got LabelImg. So what actually happened, and one of the things that I realized is inside of the, inside of the full-blown live sign language detection repo that I've got up there, and I probably need to fix this up. Go to sign language, yeah, this one. So what's actually missing is this resources.qrc file. So you actually need to clone it directly. So rather than going in ahead and grabbing this repo, you're better off just grabbing it directly from the main repository. And again, I'll link to that here. So this is the main LabelImg repository. So you probably want to go off with that. And that's because this resources.qrc file, I don't believe is in my one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set this up and then kick off LabelImg. So let's go on ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to go into our LabelImg folder. And then we're just going to be running these commands over here. So the ones that we need are the Windows ones because I'm on a Windows machine. So it's this command here that you need. It's hidden between a bunch of stuff, but we're going to need this pyrcc command. So if we copy that and run that, looks like no issues there. And then if we now go on ahead and kick off Python LabelImg.py, we should be able to start this up. All right, what are our questions? Is there a reason you chose object detection over YOLO v5 for? Oh, okay, so this is a good question, right? So TensorFlow model zoo. So there's a bunch of different detection or different pre-trained models that you can actually use. So I think I've just used SSD, but so these are the models that you're actually able to use for TensorFlow object detection. Just make sure this is, yeah, TensorFlow 2. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different types that you can use as well. Just so I've obviously used, I can't even remember which one we use now. I think we used SSD, one of these ones, somewhere around here. And I think I chose that because it's the fastest. So I've obviously optimized for speed, but there's obviously, sometimes there's a bit of a trade-off between your speed and the performance of the image versus the accuracy. So right now I'm working on this tutorial right down here. So mask RCNN, and it takes a ton more time to train. So rather than ours going really, really fast and being short and sharp, that one actually takes a ton of time, a ton of resources to actually kick off. So again, you've sort of got these trade-offs. I just realized I'm coding behind my head. Let's put this up here. Yeah, so you've got trade-offs. So I've chosen the one that's obviously optimized for speed, which I believe is this one. Yeah, 320 by 321. Yeah. Okay, so we're now inside a LabelImg. What we want to do now is actually kick it off and then start labeling our images. So let's run Python LabelImg, and you can see we're open successfully. Cool. All right, so that's a good first step. What we now want to do is open the directory of our images. So in this case, we've got a bunch of images. So let's go to D drive, live stream, real-time object detection, TensorFlow, workspace images, collected images. Hello, God, I went through that way too quick. All right, so basically our format is we're going into our TensorFlow folder. So whatever your top level folder is, then TensorFlow, workspace, images, collected images, and then you're gonna have your 5 folders. And each one of those folders represents our different classes. So we're gonna have hello, I love you, no, thanks, and then yes. And I think a bunch of you have also asked about action detection. I am working on it. So I am also doing some body analysis stuff as well, which is actually pretty cool. I found it fascinating. So again, those tutorials are definitely coming in the coming weeks. So we're going to select our hello folder. And then you can see our images have opened up down here. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to label. So we'll just hit W to label. We're going to do that. And we are going to say this is hello. And then move to our next image. And what's happening here? I believe we need to save this. Okay, so we're going to save it and then hit save. Move to our next image, which doesn't seem to want to work when I tab through. So let's just go down here. Then W again. So hello again, save. Next image. So we're just going to go through, label all of our images. So that's hello. Go to our next one, W. And so we're obviously doing it for sign language, but you could do it for a bunch of other stuff, right? So if you wanted to do it for I don't know, phone detection, or if you wanted to label random objects like a bottle or something, you could definitely do that. So what you're seeing here is the sort of the overall process for object detection, but you could definitely apply this to a whole bunch of different use cases. So we're going to go to W, do that, hello, oh, we got to save these as well, right? And we didn't save that one, so that's my bad. Just make sure these have all been saved, so those are looking good. Okay, next one. I think there's a way to auto save. Doesn't look like it's working. Okay, that's fine. Let's do the rest. So I'm just hitting, and so this image is crap, right? So like we're just going to delete these ones. This one's fine. So let's do this one. So let's go on ahead and delete those images while we're here. So we're going to go back into our TensorFlow folder, workspace, images, collected images, hello. So there are those ones where, so you can see here that these aren't exactly great images. So we're just going to delete those. And so we should have effectively 16 images. So we've got 8 images and then we've got 8 labeled files. So we're good there. All right, now we're just going to go through and do the other classes. So we're going to open up our next directory. So I love you. Hit cancel and then open those. And again, same thing. We're going to do I love you. So let's check our comments. Yep, we're definitely going to keep this live stream. So we're just going to post it up as well so you guys can check it out. Is it possible to add notes? So one of the questions we've got here, is it possible to add notes, almost like descriptions for gestures detected by the system and have them drawn onto the screen too? Yeah, so I think you can extend this out. So if you take a look at the detection history tutorial that I did, that was sort of the idea behind that. So you can actually extract these gestures. And if you wanted to, you could add in additional drawings on the screen as well. So yeah, you could definitely do that. All right, so we're now going to label a new class. So in this case, it's I love you. Sorry, the text is a little bit small there. So we're going to label that, hit OK. We're going to go to the next. Oh, remember, we've got to save. Save that. Next one. Oh, the next button doesn't want to work. So I love you here again. Save. Next one. Just checking the time there, guys. All right, so I love you. Save. I'm just saying I love you guys. Pleasure having you here. All right, so we're going to save this. Next one. I love you. Save. Next one. Boom. Save. God, look at my facial expressions. That's a bit of a shocker. All right, save. And I'm just hitting W. So you can actually just hit W on your keyboard as well. I probably should have called that out. You can just hit W and it will open up that rectangle annotation box. You can also hit A and D to go backwards and forwards, but it looks like that doesn't seem to want to work today. So that's fine. Stuff's broken. It happens. All right, so we're going to go to there, hit W and save. And then our last one. Okay, I love you, and then save. Cool. All right, let's double check. It's fine, fine, fine. Fine, fine, fine. Okay, cool. So that is I love you done. Let's open up our next directory. So we're going to go to no. So this is obviously no now. Save. 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 Okay, W. And you can see here that my annotations are a little bit sketchy. So you can actually amend these to say I wanted to bring it in a little closer. And hit save. So that's going to give us some better annotations. Go to the next one. And next. Alrighty, that's all of them done. So it looks like, let's step through. They're all looking good. You can see that we've got our annotation still appearing. Okay, we're good there. So let's open up our next directory. So we've only got 2 left. Thanks. So we'll call it thank you, and we'll just bring this in a little bit. And we'll save that. Cool. All right, that's our thanks. So again, I'm just naming each one of these classes differently. As I'm going through, I'm updating the name of the classes depending on which folder I'm working in. So let's make that a bit bigger. Save it. So one of the cool use cases that I was actually looking at was using this same sort of flow, but for microscope object detection. So you could do things like circuit board defects, cracks in particular pieces of machinery. So that might be a cool one. Let me know what you guys think of that. That might be another interesting one that we can do. So let's power through and try to get all these labels or all these images labeled. Next one. Oh. And as per usual, just make sure all of your annotations are still there. So otherwise you're going to get errors. So that's good. Okay, cool. So all of our images look like they're working fine. Now let's do our last one. So in this case, we're going to go to which one haven't we done yet? So it looks like yes is the last one. All right, let's check comments. So installing object detection model. So that's going to, so Dilshan, that'll actually, or the tutorial's already sort of on the channel. So take a look at that and let me know how you go. Again, if you get errors, by all means, just hit me up. I'm happy to help. Could have been misinterpreting. Hold on. So like images that don't have the thing you're trying to detect, like say images view with no hand in the frame. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that for me, Mick? Like, do you want to say not a certain class, or like what are you actually thinking there? Not detect anything since nothing's there. Okori, so on your bit about speed of the prediction, so you can actually slow it down. So once I get to the visualization bit, I'll show you how to do that. What are we labeling now? This is yes, right? All right, so yes. Oh, negative images for SSD. Oh, so I guess what you could do with that is you could have like an image classifier, and I guess you could say that, well, I guess you wouldn't even really need a model for that. So if you don't detect a particular thing in your image, you could just say no objects found. So you could just do that with your results, right? You could do some post-processing for that. Labeling takes a while, doesn't it? All right, so let's keep powering through. Let's do that. Save. Next one. Save. Next one. Save. Almost there, guys. Said that one. Okay, that's our images labeled. So again, as per usual, check that they're all labeled. It's looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good. All right, cool. Now close label image. That is now done and dusted, thankfully. So if we go into our images folder, and again, inside of our hello, we should have, you should ideally have an even number. So we've got 16 images there, 20 there, 20 there, 20 there, and 20 there. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to split these up into train and test. Now you could apply a much more scientific method to this compared to what I'm going to do. But in this case, I'm just going to grab some of the stuff grab a bunch of the images, and make sure you grab the image as well as its associated annotation, because if you don't grab the annotation, then you're going to have a bad time. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, let's leave 3 of the images per class for eval, because we're not really going to do eval as of yet. So we're going to grab these, so controls, let's cut them so we know. So I'm going to grab some images out of hello, paste them in here, and delete this git keep. We don't need that. So we'll go into I love you, and we'll grab up to here, I think. So then 1, 2, 3, yep, so up to there. Paste that into train. So we'll go into no, and then we'll grab up to there. So then we've got 6, so we'll cut that. Paste that into the training folder again, and then go to thanks. And we are going to go up to there. So again, we're going to paste this into our training folder. And so effectively what we're doing here is just moving images, right? So we're splitting it up into a training and testing partition. Okay, so we've got 66 items, which means we've got 33 images in here for our training. So the rest we're going to dump into our testing folder. So we'll grab those. Paste them in there, delete the git keep, back into here, cut that. Go to no, let's delete that, paste those. And then last folder, yes. All right, so let's cut that. So now if we go through our collected images, we don't have anything in hello, nothing in I love you, nothing in no, nothing in thanks, and nothing in yes. So we can effectively delete this collected images folder now. Let's take a quick second for questions. Where are we up to? Does the image size matter? No, we do some pre-processing and post-processing. Question was about negative images for SSD. You don't actually need the negative images to do the training. I'm wondering if there's a way, let's have a chat afterwards, Mick. So if you jump on the Discord link, just scroll up, find the Discord link. I'm happy to have a chat to you about goals for the negative images. A tutorial on shadow detection. Okay, cool. That might be interesting. I'm thinking the next object detection tutorial that I'm going to do is on segmentation. So object detection is obviously pretty cool, but I want to do one on segmentation as well, because I think that's going to take it one step further. All right, so if we take a look at our images now, so we've got 66 images there. We might need to do a part 2 of this stream, and then 30 images there. So we're good. So we've got 15 testing and 33 training. So now that that's done, I think we are good to actually start going through our flow now. So I'm going to jump back into our Jupyter notebook. So if I go back, let's just shut these down. So I'm going to jump back in. So again, we cloned down this repo and it had, so we created the image collection bit. We're now up to the actual tutorial. So, or the tutorial notebook. So really this is you could call it the training notebook. We'll rename that. Okay, so there's a fair bit in here. So what we're, probably shouldn't have clapped. That was probably loud. My bad. So we've got a bunch of paths here, and these just reference all the different paths that we've got within our folder structure. So if we actually take a look at our folder structure, come on, snap. What we're basically saying is our workspace path is TensorFlow workspace. Scripts path is TensorFlow script. So what you see there. API model path is going to be TensorFlow models, which we don't have cloned. So we're going to need to clone that. Our annotation path is where all of our different image annotations are going to be, and specifically our TF records are going to be. Our image path is where all of our images sit. So again, they are in this folder, so images. And when we actually go to extract them out, we're actually extracting the train and test partitions as well. Model path is really just this, now that I think about it. Oh no, this is actually our specific, so it's going to be workspace path, so TensorFlow workspace models. So it's going to be this models path rather than the actual TensorFlow models. But again, I'll explain that in a sec. So let's actually start running this and then I'll show you. So let's hit that. And then we need to change our label map. So in this case, we're not doing it on mask or no mask. We're going to be doing it on our sign language tutorial. So let's change these. So we've got at 5 different classes. So let's just grab, make sure we've got, and another key thing here is that if you're doing custom ones, why are these not aligning? Sorry, that's my OCD coming out. There we go, that's better. All right, so we need to make sure that the names of these different classes match exact to what you've actually gone and labeled during or using LabelImg. So if I say mask and I've actually written mask in the LabelImg step, then we're gonna have issues there. So it needs to match at a case level as well. So if we go and take a look at our images, and let's just open up train and open up our annotation. So in this case, it's capital hello. So our first class is going to be hello. And then if we take a look at an I love you note annotation. So this is what an annotation actually looks like. So you can see it's almost like, it is XML. So it's got the folder, the file name, the path, the source, the size, the object, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do now is grab this class. So I love you. So this name bit here is what we're looking for. So we're going to grab that. And then we're going to scroll on down to the no one. And get no should be pretty straightforward. We'll write no, and then we're going to have yes. And then what did we write? I think we wrote thank you. Thanks, thank you. One of those. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And we're going to change, we're also going to change these IDs. So we're just going to make sure they're consecutive. Okay. So that's our labels now done. So we've got hello, and we're going to need commas between each of these. Don't need one there. So hello, I love you, no, yes, thank you. And we're going to have our IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these IDs are important because when you get back your detection, you're actually going to get back the ID. So you need to go back and map through to this. If you take a look at the detection history tutorial, I go through that in a little bit more detail. So if we write this out now, we should be good there. So this is actually going to write out our label map to the annotations folder. So you can see that there now. So that's what it should look like. So hello, I love you, no, yes, thank you. Make that a bit bigger so you can see that. So that's what your label map should look like. Cool. And we're just going to delete this git keep. We don't need that either. All right. Questions? Training an already trained version of this detector. Yeah, so I think I've got to do a tutorial on that, like how to retrain or train. So this is Mick. I'm answering that question. So this is actually, it's definitely on my list to do like a retraining video. So how do you add more images, rebuild the TF records file, and then keep training. Segmentation. So segmentation, so that's a good question. So what is segmentation? So right now we're going to be detecting squares, right? So that is object detection. We're just detecting where an object is and putting a square around it. When we do segmentation, we can actually trace the object that we're detecting. So in this case, where I've gone and drawn my labels using label map, I'm just going to be drawing a square around my hand, right? But when we do segmentation, we could actually trace around the entire hand and be able to get the really specific region. So it's used quite a fair bit, particularly in defect detection. So if you're looking at like corrosion analysis or crack detection, you tend to see segmentation, or even like cell analysis when you're looking at like microscope images, used a lot more there. And so the model that you can use for that is actually mask RCNN. More questions can you make? And oh, so Al, on your bit about the sentence. So if you actually take a look in the detection history tutorial, we show how to actually do that. I need to send Nick a case of beer or whiskey. Sounds good, Mick. I'll join you. Can we just do the 4th module manually and skip this section in coding? I'm not too sure what you mean there. Could start from last checkpoint inside. I think you can start from a different checkpoint. But I wonder, and I haven't tested this out yet, which is why I haven't sort of said it. I think you actually need to export a frozen graph rather than just exporting checkpoint 0. So that is my thoughts on that. When are you planning to do a segmentation tutorial? I've actually got all the code done. I'm just making sure it all works at the moment. So that's actually coming. I'm just making 100% sure that this all runs. All right, so on that note, so we're now up to creating TF records. So we've already got, so this is effectively just going through and running this generate TF record script here. So if I actually show you, let me actually just print out this command, right? How do we do this? Never mind, let's just go and run it. So this is actually going through, what it's actually doing is it's going into TensorFlow scripts, it's running this generate TF record script here, and we're just passing through the different paths really. So if you didn't want to run it inside of the notebook, or if you're getting errors, you can effectively just run, so what's it going to look like? It's going to be Python, and then scripts path, which is this up here. So TensorFlow scripts / generate TF record .py. And then you're going to pass through these other commands. So then it's going to be -x and then image path.train. So it's this, so workspace path, which is this TensorFlow workspace /images /train. And then you're going to pass through your annotation paths. Let's make this full screen now. And then you're going to pass through your annotation path, which is ideally going to be your workspace, which is TensorFlow workspace annotations. And so here you're just actually naming it. So, right, so if you didn't want to use this command, or if you're getting errors when you're actually trying to run this, this is effectively the command that you can run at the command prompt. So TensorFlow scripts generate TF record, and then you're passing through -x. So this points to where your images actually are. So in this case, they're in the train folder, but you'd need to replicate it for test. And then we're passing through where we want our annotations to go. So in this case, they're going to go into TensorFlow workspace annotations train record. So I think, so if I print that out, probably should look a little bit better. So that's the whole command to actually do this. I've obviously just parameterized it, so it's a little bit easier to run. So if we run this now, fingers crossed, that should all run successfully. So let's wait and see. Okay, so that's the first one done. If we want to change sign name after creating data set, so I think you have to retrain, or if you're going to add in a new sign or want to change the sign name after that. So I believe you can add more images. You can recreate the TF records file and actually do it. It will be a little bit different if you use Cocoa format, I believe, Pubudu. Yep. Okay, so that's our TF records now done. So if we now go into TensorFlow workspace annotations, we've now got these two test and train files here. So this actually gives us the files that we're going to use as part of our training. So the next thing that we're going to do is start creating our model folder. So let's do that. So we're just initiating our custom model name. So this is this cell here. You could change this to something else if you wanted to as well. It doesn't need to stay as my SSD mobnet. And then what we're doing is we're actually copying over, actually, we need to check whether or not we've got TensorFlow models. Oh, so we're going to need to run this as well. So this is actually downloading the entire TensorFlow Model Zoo repository. So we actually need this. So we're going to run that. That's going to clone it down. It might take a little while, but we'll give it some time. All right, questions. Pascal VSE format, I think we're doing okay. Copying the model folder to configure, the pipeline config can be done manually. You don't need to use the command in here. Sometimes it throws errors. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in another command prompt, because sometimes I get a couple of little bugs when I do it through here. Okay, that's not going to run. So what we're going to do is go into our D drive, CD, live stream, ls, CD into real-time object detection, and then go into TensorFlow. And then from here, we're going to clone that models repo. So is that effectively what we're doing? Yes. And we've written git clone twice. Oh, it's already cloned down. Never mind. So this is already happening. So if we go into this, doesn't want to stop. Sometimes my Windows machine doesn't like running these commands inside of this notebook. So let's save this and actually stop it. Oh, looks like we're gonna have to crash our, nope, that stopped. All right, cool. So we're just gonna delete this folder So this models folder, and I'm just going to do this manually. Nope, doesn't want to delete. Let's close this and restart our kernel. So let's stop this for now. And then let's do it manually. So if we go into, let's open another command prompt. Okay, so what we're going to do is rather than running that command inside of the notebook, I'm just going to cd into it. So live stream, cd real time, cd TensorFlow. Yeah, so we're going to do it in here. So if we paste git clone, and we should have got the command before we closed it. All right, let's go restart our notebook and grab it. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so live stream, real-time object detection, training. So we're going to copy this. So we're just going to run this outside of the notebooks. Again, sometimes in my particular machine, it doesn't want to run from within a notebook. So we're just going to paste that and then run that. And so this is going to download all the TensorFlow models stuff that we're going to actually need. Alrighty, let's take a look at where we are on comments. So it's going to take a little while. And again, if we don't get through this entire tutorial today, that's fine. We can always run a part 2 of this live stream. Alrighty, so current. Can we change the name of the tag in XML? Oh yeah, you could definitely change it inside of the XML, but you'll also need to change your, what will you need? You'll need to change your label map as well, Dilshan. So yeah, so you could do that as well manually instead of having to go and relabel all over again. CP is not recognized, so you need to install git bash for that. So that's going to solve that. But yeah, as Mick was saying, you can actually just copy over your pipeline config. You don't need to run that CP command. So it just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, awesome. I hear your thoughts about Colab. Yeah, maybe I'll do that in a future video. Alrighty, so this is taking a while to download. We'll see how long this takes. Actually, we might already have it in another folder that we can just copy over. I don't want to be here waiting while you guys are trying to watch me do some training and it's copying. All right, so let's see. Might actually have it here. Oh, yeah, we got it. Let's just cancel this. So this is the exact same. So you can copy it down and just leverage that. You can definitely clone it from GitHub. In this case, I'm just going to skip through and paste it. It should be a little bit faster. There we go. So this git clone is effectively just cloning down the TensorFlow Object Detection utilities. My internet is a bit of a shocker. And plus we're live streaming, so it's taken up a bunch of bandwidth. But again, all we're really doing here is running that command or that training command that we saw back up there, or the cloning command that we saw over here. And because we killed this off, so we're just going to need to run this again. We don't need to rerun our TF record generation. We're sort of up to here. Okay, so once our models have cloned over, so you should have all of this stuff available. The next thing that we're going to need to do is, what are we doing here? So we're copying our pipeline config. Great question. We're actually up to this. So who was asking about this? Mooney. So what we can actually do is, rather than running this command, you can actually just go in and copy it over manually. And a lot of people are getting stuck on this, but all we're really doing here is copying this and pasting it into, have we created that new folder yet? No, we haven't. So we still need to run this line. So this is going to create a new folder inside of our models folder. So my SSD mobnet, and we're just pasting it in there. We need to copy that again. Yeah, there you go. So if this is causing errors, you can literally just copy it. If I'd known that it was going to cause, we were going to get errors from that. And that's probably my fault a little bit because I'm using git bash on a Windows machine, kind of a little weird. But this is effectively all that these two lines are doing. So it's creating a folder inside of the models folder called my SSD mobnet. and it's copying that pre-trained pipeline config into here. So we've now got it in there. Okay, so now we're up to actually going ahead and training. So we're just going to run our import config path. So if we actually output that config, what's that look like? It's looking all right. So we can check that. And so this is opening up our existing config. So we need to change a bunch of stuff in here. What we need to do is we need to change the number of classes to the number of classes that we've actually labeled. So in this case, it's going to be the length of this label array. So if we actually change that, which is effectively 5. So if I type in len labels, it's just 5. So I can type in len labels if we want to parameterize it a bit more. Everything else I think should be good to go. So this is just pointing to our checkpoint. So if we run that, that's our pipeline config now done. So if we open this up now, so this is the custom one, remember, not the pre-built one. What you should see is you should see the number of classes has been updated. And if you scroll on down, close this. If you scroll on down, what you should expect to see is that the fine-tune checkpoint has been updated. This fine-tune checkpoint type has been updated. Label map path and the input path have been updated. So effectively, you should see all of those updated in your pipeline config. So if we close that now, that's all good to go. And then we're up to training the model. So we can run that, copy this command, and ideally, all things holding equal. Actually, a good thing to note here, right? So sometimes you're going to get this out of this allocation error, and that's because your GPU is running out of memory. So if you see that this is already at 8, or if you get like a status allocation error, then you might need to stop your kernel and run the training separately. Just a thing to note. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to run it. So let's open up a new command prompt. Go into our live stream folder. So cd live stream, cd into our real-time object detection folder, and then we're going to run it from here. So if we just paste our command and hit run, and hopefully all things holding equal. Actually, I think I might have an incorrect version of TensorFlow installed right now, but okay, so this is good. So you can see that we're getting this error. So attribute model TensorFlow API v1 has no attribute v2. This is actually because I've got TensorFlow 1 installed at the moment. So if I type in pip list, let's scroll on up. You can see that I'm running 1.1.5 or 1.15.0, and this is what I wrote for, or what I was using for reinforcement learning. So, but in order to run this particular tutorial, because we're using TensorFlow 2 models, we need TensorFlow 2. something. So in this case, I'm going to use 2.3.1 because of the versions of CUDA that I've got installed. So we can type in pip install TensorFlow equals 2.3.1, TensorFlow dash GPU equals 2.3.1, and then I'm going to pass through dash user. So this should give me the right version of TensorFlow and allow it to run successfully. So let's install that, and then we'll try training again. Alrighty, what happens if we change the type of detection is changed to classification? I believe it uses a different model, and you get a classification model over a detection model, but don't quote me on that. I think it is a little bit different. I have seen it used before. I want to test my friend's trained model. Any steps I need to do? Nope. So you can pick up that checkpoint and actually test it out on your own machine. So you should be able to do that. Will it work as an image classification program? I think it will probably do. I mean, try it out, see what happens. Let me know how you go. I'd be interested to see what the difference is. All right, so let's let this reinstall. But again, this sort of shows you how to solve these errors, right? Like if you start getting errors, sort through, again, Google's your best friend, find out what might have gone wrong, and then try different things out. So again, installing this isn't always the most straightforward thing. You might have to try a bunch of different installs, try installing something else. In this case, this particular error is definitely a versioning error. So because we're using a TensorFlow 2 model, we need to be using a TensorFlow 2 version. So in this case, installing TensorFlow 2 is going to allow us to actually go on ahead and leverage that. So we'll let this run for a little while. Any additional questions, guys? Any new videos or anything that you want to see? What's been happening? Are you enjoying the videos at the moment? Looks like TensorFlow is taking a little while to install. We'll just let that run. Oh, internet is not being friendly to me today. Thanks so much, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this stream. Am I hitting the right spot? Maybe a little bit too long? Come on, TensorFlow. Oh, what have we got there? We've passed through dash user. That should be fine. TensorFlow. Come on. So I might need to wrap up this live stream kind of soonish, but let me know if you guys want me to do a follow-up. So let's see where we get to. We'll give it a little bit more time. We'll see how long TensorFlow takes to install. Do you guys want to follow up and see how to take this further? We'll go all the way to the end. Action recognition, definitely. Yeah, I'm pumped to work on that as well. Thanks so much, Shane. Glad you're enjoying it. Let's see how long is it going to go on ahead and install. It's taking a little time now. So really all that's left to do now is to get this line running. So we just need to make sure that TensorFlow 2.3.1 installs. Oh, okay. Yes. All right, sweet, we're done. Okay, so what we can do now is copy this command and then paste it here. I'm crossing my fingers. Let's see if this runs and the computer doesn't crash. It's looking promising. It's looking good. Oh, I do have Valor. I suck at gaming. So I've tried. I just get so bored. I don't know. If you wanna have a gaming session with me, let me know. Okay, so this is looking good. So if you're getting stuff looking like this, so far we haven't actually had any errors. So even though we're getting this unresolved object checkpoint, that's still fine. So it looks like the model is still currently training at the moment. And ideally you should start to see your GPU, if you're using a GPU. So you can see that our GPU has now been fully consumed. So we're up to 8. And we've got our first 100 time step and our loss being output. So this is all good. So we're running. So we're training our model. So as soon as we get a first checkpoint, so we won't wait for too long. So as soon as we get, we've got our first checkpoint. Let's wait for checkpoint 2. Once you start getting these checkpoints out of here, that basically means that you've now got a trained model that you can now actually begin to use. So let's give it a little time. Let's maybe let it run for, I don't know, 1,000 steps and then we'll test it out. Thanks, Ahmed. Glad you're enjoying it. So, yeah, wow. Have we been going for an hour? Oh, damn. Okay. Just getting to your comments now, guys. Now, wow. Yeah, sometimes running the Python command inside of the notebook doesn't work for me either. Normally, I just take them out to run. It seems to take a little while. So I don't know if that's something with my particular machine, but I just run them outside. It's just easier to monitor. It tends to work as well. Thanks so much, Miles. Glad you're enjoying it. Ethan, so you're getting random incorrect detections. How long do you, so ideally you want to, so there's a couple of things when you go and build one of these models. So you want to have varying images, so images of different quality. You also want to have, by quality, I'm talking like different images of like different lighting, different poses. You can perform some image augmentation, but you've actually got that built in as well. So really it's lighting and quality, different poses to ideally make sure that and different variations of that particular pose to get better detections if you're getting crappy detections. What is my GPU? I'm running a 2070 Super. So I actually bought it for this YouTube channel so I can start doing some more of this stuff. Okay, so it looks like our loss is sort of hovering around 0.343. So we're going to stop it now because we've now got our second checkpoint. So you can see that we've got checkpoint 2 here. Oh, it looks like it's just dropped a heap. So 264. All right, we'll stop it there. Okay, so that is our training now stopped. Let's make sure. So it looks like our GPU's released our VRAM, so we're good to do that. Now the bit that you've been waiting for, actually testing this model out. So there's key thing. Someone did ask about using your friend's model. So if you're using your friend's model, you just want to make sure that you've got their pipeline config, and you also want to make sure that you've got their checkpoints, because what we want to do is replace this checkpoint in here. So we can see that our latest checkpoint is checkpoint 2. How do I make this bigger? So it's checkpoint 2, so you can see that there. So we're going to replace the 6 in there with checkpoint 2. We're going to import that. It looks like we've got an error. What's happening? No module named TensorFlow Core Keras. Okay, so now we're getting errors. We should have had TensorFlow Core Keras. Okay, that's a weird error. Let's save this. Oh, wait, we reinstalled TensorFlow. So hold on, let's shut this down. Reopen. Let's try this now. Scroll on down. So we need that. Let's wait and see if this works. Okay, so that looks fine. So remember, we reinstalled TensorFlow. So in this case, what we needed to do is just make sure that we restarted our kernel to be able to reload it. So what I've done is I just went and ran this node over here. And then if we scroll on down, we should be able to run this cell. So it looks like we weren't getting any errors there. Load up. Oh, actually, wait, that's not the bit that we want. We want this. So we want that. So we're up to step 7. We've changed our checkpoint to checkpoint 2. Let's see how that goes. No issues there. Then we can import CV2, import our category index, and then our video capture. I believe we still use 0, so we should be okay. Oh, so if you're getting around 1.5 seconds per step, then again, that might be a GPU thing. So again, it's going to train way faster if you've got a GPU. So now if we run this detection code, we should ideally get a little pop-up and get some detections. Let's wait and see what this looks like. And again, you can play around with this, train for longer, train for less. So in this case, I've just trained really quickly, so I'm not expecting the greatest model, but we'll wait and see. Okay, so we're getting a hello, I love you, thank you. And you can see we're getting a bunch of boxes as well, right? So ideally it's detecting my head as no, probably because it's like round. So what we can actually do is change this to increase our detection threshold. So if I stop this now and then run, so remember our little square box is still down there. So what we want to do is run cap.release and cv2.destroy all windows. So that's going to release our camera and close that. And let's increase our detection threshold to, let's say, 90. So just by updating this. And we can also decrease the number of boxes we want to draw. Let's just say we want to draw, I don't know, 2 or 3. We'll say 3. Save that, and then we can run this again. And what are we getting now? Images must have either 3 or 4 dimensions. Okay, so this is another error that you might run into occasionally. If you're getting this error, it just basically means that you haven't successfully been able to release your camera. So what we need to do is just restart this notebook. And again, we're just going to step back through. So we need our custom model file. Then scroll on down. So we're going to then detect. And we need our label map util. So it's up here. Config util. Okay, so we need that from over here. So we can import that config path. Then if we run this now, ideally that should work. Okay, well, we're running there. So run that. We don't need to run cap.release. So let's try that again. And then if we run this detection code, so we don't need to release because we haven't actually connected to our camera yet. So let's start this up and we should be able to get some detection. So we actually made it to the end. Where am I from, Nick? I'm actually from Sydney, Australia. So it is, what's the time now? It's 1:17. So my bad. I know the timing wasn't all that great. Looks like we're getting another error. Okay, so what we'll do is if we're getting this, so we obviously connected to it once and it was working successfully. So if you keep getting a bunch of errors, what the easiest way to sort of solve this is restart your kernel. So I'm going to restart that, kick it off again. Go to live stream, go to real-time object detection, go to our training notebook, and let's try this again. So rinse. Awesome, Vikash, what's happening? Okay, so let's run that. That looks fine. So we need our custom. So when we're reloading, you don't need to run through everything. So you need to run through this cell. I believe you need to run through the custom model name cell. We need this cell to import our config utils. We need our config path. Don't need those ones. You need, and then we need to run everything from here. So we need this cell, this cell, this cell, this cell. We don't need cap.release. We can actually delete that. We need our capture. We don't need that cell. And then we can run this. Fingers crossed. Let's wait and see. Okay, it's popping up. Sweet. There you go. So we got hello, I love you, thank you. No, come on. It's not detecting no well. So that might mean that we actually need to pass through a bunch more images for yes and no, because right now it's getting a little bit confused. So ideally we've got the main one. So thank you, hello, I love you. Yes and no doesn't seem to want to like. So let's try. And you know what? That's probably because the images are very similar. So it's actually no, it's performing fine, but yes, it's not. So that might mean we need to train a little bit longer. So if I was in this case as a data scientist, so what I'd actually be doing is I'd be adding more images of the yes class and I'd be labeling them to be able to better detect. So you can see that it's not performing, it's not getting yes at all. And I think yes was the class that we might have actually had less images of. So if we actually go back to our images file, how many yes images did we actually have? Yeah, so we only trained on 7 yes images. So again, that might be a case where we need to add in some more images. But I mean, you can see broadly, sort of gives you an idea how to test this out. So hopefully you've enjoyed this live stream. Try without the green screen. All right, let's do it. No, it's detecting I love you. So that kind of sucks, right? So thank you, it still performs well. Hello. I love you. No. So again, that might be, and I think the lighting's a little bit weird as well. So no, it gets, but it's not getting the rest. So again, you can try it out and see what actually happens. But yeah, so that sort of about wraps it up. So hopefully you've enjoyed this live stream. So again, I'll probably share the, or let me know if you want me to share this code. Again, it's all the same that's sort of out there. But test it out, see how you go. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Hopefully you've enjoyed this first ever live stream. And again, peace out. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'll go through your questions if there's anything else I missed. Thanks so much, Mick. Cheers. Can I use cap.release in CV to destroy a window if the statement at the end? So that works if you're running it directly from the command line. The Q thing is from the command. If you're running it outside of the notebook, it doesn't really work from within the notebook. Try without the green screen. Video data set, yeah, we'll do that. At work, trying to debug some JavaScript code. That's a bane of my existence, Vikash. Yeah, I should have kept an equal number of images for each class. So that was, remember I collected some crappy images for yes, and it obviously failed. So I'd obviously add in more classes of yes now to be able to get this to perform better. But I mean, you can see it's performing okay. Like we only trained it for 1,000 steps as well. So like it's doing dual hand, is it? Yeah, it's working okay. Again, you can obviously definitely improve this, train for a lot longer, but this is obviously real time. So you saw it didn't take a lot of time, or we didn't train for a very long amount of time. Next live, we haven't even wrapped up the first one. Thanks. But yeah, we'll definitely see how live's performing. And if you guys really enjoyed this, by all means, let me know if you'd like to see another live stream. Now you made it to the live stream, Vikash. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Dilshan. Thanks so much, Rain. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Lucky. Thanks, Bayou. Thank you so much, Mahesh. Yeah, ideally you'd want to have an equal number of images. If anything, it doesn't matter if they're not necessarily equal, but you want ideally more than 7. I obviously kept it quite low. Sriram, CP is not working. Scroll back through the live stream. You can actually just copy the config. I actually showed how to solve that. Thanks so much, Miles. Nah, no stress, Mick. All good. No problems. Alrighty, thanks guys. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. And as per usual, if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and tick that bell and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. You've all been a pleasure to have a chat to. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.